Welcome to Vegas Circle with Paki and Chris, and today joining the circle with us, we're excited to sit down with this businessman who is the founder of Evolution Travel and Epic Trading. We got Mr. David McCovy with us in the circle, man. So thanks for joining the circle, bro.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me, for sure.
Yes, it's good to have you. So we were talking offline, so you actually are a Las Vegas native.
Yes, definitely. Born and raised, man. Yeah, born and raised.
So it's amazing.
They call us unicorns.
Yes, it's crazy because Vegas is such a small city, but everybody knows everybody. Like,
Definitely.
For sure.
obviously, we know, you know a friend of ours, Marv, which is funny, so being able to network and be in Vegas. It's nice to be able to see behind the scenes all that positive energy like we met the first time.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
You got an interesting background, man. So you kind of worked in fashion, from my understanding, also in the clothing industry. You invested in some Hollywood films, from my understanding, too. So you had your hands involved
a
in
little bit of
everything.
everything, man. You know, just touch them all till you get it right.
That's beautiful, man. And then you had a large company that used to throw concerts and things, right?
Right.
Okay.
And we were the largest independent concert company at the time, Gemini Entertainment.
Okay.
And so, it was that was a good look. That, you know, the concert game is crazy, man. It's feast or famine. You know,
Vegas
someday chicken, someday feathers. You know,
You said feast or someday feathers. Yeah. You ain't lying. Especially, I was thinking because of Vegas in general. You know what I mean? You would think everybody wants to fight that.
Well,
you know?
they do, but see, like some of the, you know, the other side of that stuff is when you try to bring an artist in. So when you're submitting for the writer and whatnot, and they realize that you're in Vegas, they're marking the ticket up on you immediately. You know, because they think, you know, they think the Strip and big casinos, you know, not knowing that you're independent, and you know, your money may not look like that. You know, so you're getting a 2 or 3x on what the regular person or someone in a different market, you know, wouldn't be paying.
That makes sense. You know, kind of, is that a relatively recent thing that you were getting into, or is it years back?
That was years back. So I think we did our last show, I want to say maybe 2011, 2012. We did Donnell Jones, John B. and Avant at, back then it was the Hilton. Now it's Westgate. But yeah, it was the last show I did.
And out of curiosity, it's kind of like at that point in time, there maybe wasn't a lot of outdoor concert venues, right? That was pretty
right.
Not a lot of happening. And it was relatively new in the Las Vegas scene. Most of it was strip oriented, not in the exterior. So that was kind of really forward thinking at the time.
Yeah, and you know, but it was crazy because, you know, again, you're paying for the artist to come in, and then you're also paying for the location on the Strip. So like we would be in the side of their venues, and you know, they didn't really like a lot of hip hop and things of that nature. So we kind of converted to like the '90s R&B, you know, some what we call the grown folks music. You know, and but yeah, it was definitely a cool journey. It was interesting to say the least.
It's funny, man, because I remember, just on a side note, when 4040 was here for a while, that lasted like 6 months. Man. So there was no riffraff in there.
They don't.
The quickness, They
don't, because, you know, we want to have a good product, and we want to, you know, have, you know, people that we enjoy seeing. But when you look at it from the Strip's perspective, they just don't want that crowd, to be honest. And I've had them tell me, you know, kind of, you know, off the camera, is that they get it but you can have 20 successful shows and have one bad show. And have something happen, you know, some type of melee, like, you know, back in the day with Paki and, you know, at the MGM, and have anything like that. And it's all of the good shows didn't matter anymore, because now the lawsuit's going to take away all of that money, you know.
Liability,
and so
huge liability for them.
100%. So that's, you know, that kind of helped me say, okay, well, this is not definitely the industry I need to be in.
Yeah, and it seems
not for long term.
Yeah, and it seems like you kind of have your hand in a lot of different pots. And is it entrepreneurship something that's always been interesting to you? Is it?
It is.
Your go-to?
It's always been my thing, man. And I got it at an early age. I'll never forget. I was at my mom worked for the Clark County School District here in Vegas. So, you know, she would get paid. I say we, right? She would get paid every other Wednesday. And so my favorite place at the time to eat was Godfather's Pizza. And I never forget, we went there one Wednesday after mom getting paid, and I was staring at the board looking at, you know, what everything cost. And I knew what my mom had made because she had just gotten a raise, and I overheard her and my aunt talking about it. Right. So I'm sitting there looking at the board, and I'm doing the math, and I'm like, man, mom had to work half the day in order to just pay for this particular meal. Yeah. And so for me, the numbers just never made sense. They didn't add up. And I just knew that with entrepreneurship, you know, no one can put a cap on you. Like, that's up to you to do. And so I was always, you know, in that space. My grandma used to say, boy, you got a champagne taste on a beer budget.
You're right, man. And Chris and I talk about this all the time, like with our kids and stuff, and it's amazing. My son asks me that all the time. He'll be like, how much money is in your bank account? Like, we'll see all there, and I'm like, man, if
not
you don't
enough.
Right, that's the good answer.
Yeah, but it's amazing how those foundations get set up.
100%.
You know what I mean? So you were in the traditional business world, and you kind of transitioned and you got into the network marketing field, right?
Correct.
So did you start in network marketing first, or did you launch right in and take the investment and be able to build your own right from the jump?
No, I got involved in network marketing first. And I tell people all the time, honestly, that if they're looking to get into entrepreneurship, that's the best route to go.
Okay.
Because it teaches you a certain amount of discipline, and it actually exposes you for what you don't know yet. right? And because the cost is, the barrier of entry is relatively small, a few $100 depending on the company that you join.
Sure.
Like, you need that discipline. Like, honestly, all entrepreneurs should have to go through that process first, because you don't need 50 grand, 100 grand to start that business. You get, $300-400 or whatever that product costs, and you start building your team and your discipline. See, the thing reason why most people that come out of traditional businesses or working a 9 to 5, so to speak, fail is because they're used to being told what to do. And right, they're used to having a certain amount of structure. But when you start entrepreneurship, you don't have that. It's you telling you what to do. So if you don't have the habits down, or the right structure, it's tough. And so that's why a lot of people fail when they first get started.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah. Do you think like network marketing is more of a specific, like you kind of mentioned, it's not, do you think it's more product-based oriented, or do you think it's more business-based oriented? Like you're selling a business instead of selling a product?
I think it depends on the company. Right. So, for instance, for one of my companies, it's travel based. So all of our agents are home-based travel agents. And we don't provide leads or anything of that nature. We provide, structure and the payment processing and things of that nature, but they have to go develop their own relationships and build their own clientele base. Right. And so my other company is a trading company where we teach people how to trade Forex. And so that's a skill set that you're learning. So they're almost 180. So they're almost night and day. But again, just being in that realm allows you to do that. And so when I got started in 2013, I never knew that I was going to end up being an owner of a network marketing company. I just watched 2 owners in the companies that I was in get it wrong. And I was like, if I go through this a third time, it's not shame on them. It's shame on me now, right? And so that's kind of how I started my own thing.
And with the travel agency too, I mean, I know you just came back from Bahamas, which is great. It's beautiful out there. I was there in June. What do you see about the travel space? Because you have the travel agencies, you've got all these Orbis, you got all these different people that eat up the market, like we talk about all the time, Priceline and kayaks and all these. What's the difference from what you guys do at Evolution Travel compared to, you know what I mean? Like, what's that space like?
Honestly,
and I don't know if that's the right word.
No. That's a very good question, and we get that a lot. And what most people don't know is that every time that a trip is booked or taken, there's a commission earned. But we're always on the wrong side of the desk, so we never earn it. So now what we give people the opportunity to do is simply book that same travel that they were going to go to, the OTLs, the Expedias, the Pricelines, and those type of people. You can do that yourself and earn your own commission. And travel is extremely sexy, I like to call it.
Yeah.
And because everyone wants to do it, anyone that you talk to about it, you're not talking to someone that you're pitching that they don't want to hear what you're talking about. Right. And so to me, it's the only product that I've ever seen that everyone's open to it. Right. No one ever says, oh, I don't want to travel, get away from me. Right. Right. Exactly. So when you're talking to people about it and you show them that they could simply do the exact same thing that they do by going online and booking their own travel, they can do it for themselves and make a commission. It sells itself.
Win-win.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That makes a lot of sense, man. Now that you say it that way, it's true because you don't know that little middle piece of kayak and all these other places that are out there.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people always ask, like, is there real money in it? Right. Luckily, everybody's come back and starting to travel now. What type of money do people make? Is it something where they would do a full-time or they do a part-time basis, or how does that work?
Because they're doing it for home, it's totally up to them. I say you can put whatever amount of time that you want to put into it.
Got it.
But what I do know from the tax perspective is, honestly, everyone that we know needs a home-based business. Because, as an entrepreneur, you're paying yourself before you pay Uncle Sam. And you can't do that when you're a W-2 employee. So being a 1099, so when you talk about, that laptop that you have right there or the microphone that we're using, these are all tax benefits or tax write-offs that you get from having a home-based business.
Sure.
Depending on your situation, you can write off a percentage of your mortgage or your rent. That's huge for a lot of people. And because it's in the travel space, you don't necessarily have to build a large book of business unless you want to. I mean, we have agents that make $20,000, $30,000 a month.
It's a lot of money.
We do, right? And then we have some that make $200, $300 a month. We have some that don't make anything because they use it for their own personal travel. What we started to see about 4 years ago were that a lot of nurses were getting involved in our program. And all they were going to do was book travel for themselves. A lot of them were international, especially from the Philippines. We have a huge Filipino team. And so they would get involved just to do that so they could make their own commissions. But because they were nurses, they were making decent money. And we know in the business space, right, if you're a W-2 employee and you mess around and work 1 or 2 overtime shifts, that puts you in a totally separate tax bracket. Right? So how do you get that money back?
Hit people over the head with
exactly.
taxes.
So we saw an influx of nurses that joined our business, not necessarily to be, to really work the business hard, but to book their own travel and to get the tax breaks. So it's like you can have whatever your version of success is, you can find it, in the deal.
When you're kind of first get the idea, obviously you said you were kind of part of these programs prior and then decided to venture off and make your own. What kind of process did you have to take to get from that point A to point B? Because it doesn't seem like we all know what it is, but if I wanted to create one, I would have no idea where to go.
Man, listen, brother, you don't know what you don't know until you notice you don't know it, right? It was one of those things. And so because in both of the companies that I was with prior, I was one of the top income earners in the company. So I did have a following. I had my own team, and they were like, hey, listen, whatever you do, we're doing. So if you go start your own thing, we're coming with you. So that gave me a leg up that most people don't have because I had that type of following. But what you don't know is the payment processing and the merchant game and all of that kind of thing that you need to be able to process payments. And that right there is a whole nother world. It's a whole nother world.
I can't even imagine people pissed off or whatever it is, they're not getting paid or feel like they're getting taken advantage of.
Because your money's always in the pipeline, especially when you start. Like when we started, I bootstrapped. I did it by myself. No, bank loans or anything like that. So we were all in. Damn. And I'll never forget, it was, we were having a company retreat, kind of celebrating, we launched pretty well and we're doing our thing. And we were in, where did we go? We were in Jamaica.
Okay.
In Jamaica. And I'll never forget getting off at the resort, off of the transport that brought us over, and my CEO standing in the door as I'm coming in, the sliding glass doors opened up to the lobby, and he's standing there beat red in the face, looked like a stop sign. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I need to talk to you. Takes me over into the side room. He's like, they just held the money. So now I'm all in. We have, I think it's our second commission run that's about to come up. So it's about 100,000, whatever, that we have to pay in commission. I don't have it because we're all in. And so our money's in the pipeline. And so what happens in the merchant game is, they run the processing for you and they hold, they charge you outrageous numbers because if you do the business online, it's card not present, which makes it high risk. Right. So now whereas a traditional business, pizza shop or flower shop, whatever, may be paying 1 or 2%, I'm paying 5.5%. And they're holding a 10% reserve. So if we
the capital's crazy.
Listen, brother, we're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that we need to be the bank. And so when they shut it down or when they hold everything. So now you don't have any monies coming back out and that they're depositing to your bank account. So now we've got this amount of money due. We're on a retreat celebrating success and we don't have any money in the pipeline to pay the people.
Oh, wow. That must have been scary.
Bro,
I don't even want to pass
not the
over
word.
that, but I can see why you got into crypto.
Yes.
I already know.
Yes.
I know where we're going. I was waiting to talk about that,
Yes.
but that's why you got into that space because you were sick of. Because it's funny. I just saw Ryan Leslie talking about this, right? How he was pissed off about the $1 million or whatever it was.
Yep.
So I don't know if you know that story, but just real quick, is he lost his laptop. Somebody, whatever happened with his laptop, he gave like $1 million bond, and they didn't realize what happened with the bank is they held up everything. They froze all his money. Had to go to court, and he said never again. So he started doing the crypto space. I think he bought, I can't even remember what his first, I think his first buy was maybe Google or whatever it was.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay.
But he made bank off of that.
Okay.
And then got into crypto space. So now I can see why you would get in that Forex and crypto space.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It just made sense. And so for our evolution side, we got past that and that company's really stable. We've had it almost 6 years now. But the new company, when we launched Epic Trading, it was tough because you do have a lot of chargebacks. So you have all these amazing bank fees and, you're paying out a percentage of commissions based on, sales and things of that nature. And they're charging back and charging back and charging back and charging back or refund this and all that kind of stuff. And it gets really overwhelming. And in crypto, that doesn't happen. Right. So there's no fraud there. I'm not stealing someone's card and swiping it or whatever. So I have to pay with that. So, there's not risk for the merchant at that point. And so that's one of the reasons why the banks don't like it, because they don't want that to be the new. They don't want that to be the new thing, right? Because it takes away their money.
That's the most interesting part is that
Seems
black
like
market.
You talk about evolution. That's exactly what it's going to be. An
Yeah.
evolution of banking really is crypto.
For sure.
So you still have Evolution Travel. Then you recently started Epic Trading. That's your new company.
Yes.
Now, okay.
Yes.
So you guys specialize in Forex and crypto.
Yes.
Can you kind of share that space on what you guys do?
Absolutely. And again, that came about too, just because I think that timing and what's going on in the world shows you everything. Yep. Again, being a native, born and raised here, I live basically 4 lights from what I call Trillionaire Row, which is the Las Vegas Strip. And during the pandemic, it was shut down. So you ride by billion-dollar buildings that are boarded up like the hood. You're like, wait a minute, how is this?
Did you drive down?
I did.
Drove
it was
down.
crazy.
It was the weirdest thing I've
It was.
ever seen.
It was like you were in one of those movies, like The Walking Dead or something. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And so, you got cops on every street. It was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I remember looking at, again, billion-dollar buildings with boards on them.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I never thought that we would see anything like that here, with the exception of something like maybe like a 9/11 or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what is going on? And so I started researching industries that were still thriving, during the pandemic. Yeah. And that's when I came across Forex. $6-7 trillion, 24 hours a day market movement. And I was like, okay, well, how do I get involved in this? And so I saw another company that was doing something that, in the network marketing space. I said, okay, well, I can do this. And so when we modeled our first piece of it after them. And then we hired a really good education team to show people the skill set, and we kind of started like that, and that's how we ended up doing it.
For our listeners, what is Forex, like in the simplest term? Like, what would that be?
It's simply the trading of currencies, foreign currencies, right? So that's where we get the FOREX from. So I guess the easiest way to say, so if you go to Mexico and you go, you get off the plane or however you get there, and you trade in your dollars for pesos.
Yep.
You just did foreign exchange.
You
just did it.
Got you.
And so, but because you can't go to all the countries and do that, you can do it in the markets. And a lot of them are currency pairs. And so that's how they're traded. The interesting thing about it is that in the stock market, how do you make money on stock when the stock goes up? In Forex, you can make money when the currency pairs go down. Right. So that's why it's interesting to a lot of people. And it just at that time that we launched it during the pandemic, a lot of people were being laid off, people at home, got time on their hands, want to learn a new skill set because people want to be independent of the matrix. I mean, the pandemic showed you a lot, whether you were watching or not.
5,000%. You're punching you in the face. Yes, everybody in the face.
Absolutely. And, and so people like, I need to really be in charge of my own destiny. And so that's how that came to be. We have a lot of people that are doing well. It's not a get rich quick thing because you need to learn the skill set.
True.
But we have, a lot of educated people that do this at a high level and they share, what they are buying or what pairs they're using. And so a lot of people get in and kind of just piggyback on them until they start learning it themselves.
Got it. That's Chris's lane with the Forex. Okay. I'm still trying to learn and process how it works.
Tried the Forex.
Just got to learn from him. That's why we bring him on, man.
This is great. Like
well, you know what? And even me, like I'm not the best trader in the world. I don't trade that often. I just own the company, right? So again, it's just like, whoever owns GM, they don't really dig down there and work on the cards.
I own the company, so it doesn't matter.
Right. No, seriously. Again, and that's what you do. Like, in order to build an amazing team, you maximize your strengths, but you surround yourself with people who mask your weaknesses. And that's all that we do. Right. And it's just, the team gets it, as the founder and owner, you get a lot of the accolades, but it's really not you. You just had the vision. After that, you had to have people believe in the vision and then they start to carry it out.
And it's kind of essentially the same thing that you do for the cryptocurrency space. Like you kind of offer the education, the ability to follow experienced traders and what kind of piggyback off what they're doing.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. 100%. Copy and paste style.
What do you see happen in Vegas? Do you see the casinos start going in that direction of having Bitcoin and be more involved in that space, or you saw with Circle and some of the other Circa.
Uh-huh. Yeah. What's going to happen, especially in that space and with that type of money and influence that they have, a lot of them will treat it like a wait and see. It'll start to happen, they'll kind of watch it pass, and then it'll get so big that they can't ignore it. Yeah. Which is what Mark Cuban did. I mean, Mark got involved after being a skeptic for a long time, but you can't miss it, So it's one of those things that you'd rather take a shot and, it didn't work, than sit back and watch it from the sideline. Because if you watch it, then you never get involved. Because if you're looking to get in, okay, well, I'll get in when it's here, that pass. I'll get it when it's here. You look up and the whole run's happen and you didn't get involved. And most entrepreneurs can't do that. We're not wired that way.
That's why I say Bitcoin is kind of one of those, as the business model is you have to get in early.
For sure.
If you don't get in early, you're left kind of paying extraordinary premiums.
Absolutely. Unless you're in a spot where you're around a lot of intelligent people that can kind of tell you what's going to happen in the market. And that's the thing. I had friends, because I was a skeptic, right? Because, when crypto first came about, people say, "Oh man, I know someone doing this." It was always one of those, "I know someone who." It was never like, sit me down with someone, right? Don't tell me what you heard, tell me what you know, right? And that's the difference. And so it took me a while to get involved because I didn't know anyone that was having success. I was just hearing everyone else's story. Oh, somebody bought this or somebody bought that with crypto. Okay, I don't want to be a consumer forever. How do I get my money out, right? And that was my first question, and no one could answer that for me. So I didn't get involved, back when it was 600. Like I know some people that did. I know a group of guys right now. They're living over in Panama, just off the grid with a ton of Bitcoin, just because they got in early. Nice. Limo drivers, bro. Like they were limo drivers here for good friends of mine. And now they're over there with, 30, 40 million worth of it. And it's just like, they're laughing at me, right?
That's the part that drives me. That's
biggest regret of my life. I first heard about crypto back in 2011. It was an article in Popular Mechanics. It was $10 a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I had $1,000 to my name at the time. I was like, I'm going to spend it all, but it's my money I was using to move to Vegas.
Oh.
So I made the choice to move to Vegas instead.
Yeah.
I love Vegas, but I regret that every day.
Absolutely, and those are hard to swallow.
There's a lot of shots in that setup, man. I'm not gonna say no names on air, but A lot of beautiful things happen in
Yeah.
Vegas because you're here, man. We're gonna be punched in the face. But no, that makes a lot of sense, man. To be able to do the traveling and then get in the space that you're there. You're that visionary, man. It's like you know where to move when it needs to go. You have that pulse the right way.
I just, I just listen to my spirit. I always say I operate on faith, not fear. So if the soft voice is telling me, I know it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone has that soft voice. A lot of times we just tune it out, or because the mind protects us, so the mind keeps us safe.
1,000%.
And I actually train on it. I tell people, as entrepreneurs, all we are is, we reinvented ourselves to make ourselves kids again, right? Because when we were kids, all of us in this room, absolutely fearless. You jump off a rock, you jump off the table, jump off a chair, you didn't do anything, right? But what started happening? Don't do that or you're going to hurt yourself. The adults started reeling us back in, right? And so, you kind of get into that safe space, you get in that little box that works for you, you don't get back out of that box again. As entrepreneurs, we just have to live outside of that box.
And do you think because of the fact that you were born and raised in Vegas and you were surrounded by so much success basically your whole entire life, that it made you more likely to take those steps and jump into those? Or do you think it made it less likely because you go work at the Strip and make a decent living?
And that's a very good point. I have a friend who is a big manager at the Wynn, and I remember us having a conversation maybe 6-7 years ago. His kids were coming; they were in college, and they wanted to leave college, and they wanted to be a bartender, and his son wanted to be a valet attendant, because he could get them ready at the Wynn, no problem. Start making $70,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Straight with no college education.
Right, and he did not want that because he said that they would get stuck. And if you're getting 70, 80 grand, that's not a bad place to be stuck at. But he understood that that's going to always be there because of who he was. He could get them in there. So go out and take your shot. Go figure out some other things and see if those things work for you. Then you can kind of come back in. So, Chris, I think for your question, for me, because Vegas is like, it's the land of opulence, so for me, it worked well with the way that I thought. Like, I wanted everything that I could have. Not that I'm not grateful, but I just always believe in, get to the next level. Be content. Be grateful, but never content. And because you look at that, you walk around billion-dollar buildings and you see, 6-figure cars driving up and down the Strip. So like for me, that was where I need to be. Like I was a kid with my eyes this big, right? This is what I want. So for me, it worked. Now, would I have had the same outlook or personality if I, grew up in the middle of Idaho or Iowa somewhere? Probably not. So I think that the city did what it needed to do for me.
Yeah, I'm seeing it right now with my kids. That's what my kids are saying when they see different cars driving down. That's exactly what they're seeing. So it's a positive and negative at the same time. But you obviously had the right foundation to be able to move the right way with your mom working in Clark County School District and being able to see that. So that's beautiful. Tell me, so we're a business show, so we try to focus on trying to give some gems to our listeners. So. It's nice because you've been on both spaces. You've been in the traditional space and you've been in the network or in the network marketing space. What would you give like a tip of a business advice for somebody that maybe wants to get in, let's say the network marketing space, or they want to get in traditional space? What would you share for them?
Rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to rule number 50. Find you a mentor. Because you don't know what you don't know. And find someone that you can trust who's willing to teach you, because it's absolutely impossible, and I'll say this with exclamation points and written in a circle, it's absolutely impossible for you not to have success when you surround yourself by people who have success and you copy exactly what they do. See, the problem is that most of us don't come from success, so our circles can't help us get to the next level. And being social beings, we're afraid to separate ourselves from that circle. And that's absolutely the wrong thing to do. Because your current group will get you to exactly where you are right now. If you want to get somewhere else, you need a new group. Doesn't mean that you forget your old friends, you get too big for them. I'm not saying any of that, but you just have to put yourself in a different space, in a different box in order to get, further in life. And that's just how it works.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's part of the reason we started this podcast, right? Because Paki and I both have a very entrepreneurial spirit, but obviously we haven't ventured into that space. So what do? We create an environment where we can speak to people who've made that jump. 100%. They made that impact. 100%. And learn what we don't know. And that makes a lot of sense.
It's huge. And again, I'm telling you, man, it cuts the learning curve so bad that it's amazing. I tell people all the time, I used to have a training called The Last 5 People in Your Call Log. Go look in your call log, the last 5 people, and I can show you where you're going to go in life. It's that simple. It's really that easy. Because again, if you, I used to have a mentor, he used to always say, if every time you call someone, you say, what are you doing? They're saying nothing. And you say, oh, where are you going? They say, nowhere. Get away from them.
That's a good tip.
Get away from them. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. They just don't know what they don't know. And I guess the second thing, for budding entrepreneurs or anybody that wants to kind of step out into the space is, trust your vision. Believe in your vision. Don't get a certain kind of way when people don't believe in your vision. It's not theirs, it's yours. And that's what happens or ruins a lot of entrepreneurs is they start out and people say, oh, you can't make it, or oh, that doesn't make sense. Why are you doing that? The same reason you're not doing is why I'm doing. And so you have to stand on that conviction. and that will get you there. But you can't worry about what people are saying. Like, you're going to be just like them if you worry about what they're saying. Not that there's anything bad with that. It's just that, if you want to be exactly, you have to go the other way.
And we only got one life to live too, man.
That's it, bro.
It's time.
That's it. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, and anything that's, no disrespect to anything or anyone, but anything that's small or mundane is gonna always be there. You can go back and get that job at any time. Like, you really can. So take your shot. That's your safety net, knowing that you can always go back to that.
Yeah.
And I think probably the last thing is a lot of people misspeak it, or they misrepresent it. You hear people all the time to say, follow your passion, follow your passion, follow your passion. And that's cool. But what if my passion was basketball? I've got an average jump shot. I can't dunk. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not going to the NBA, bro. I'm not. Right? So follow your gift. Right? What's your core competency? What do you do better than most people in the world? It doesn't matter what it is. It can be painting. It can be, lawn service. It doesn't matter. What your gift is it will keep you happy. Remember, as we walk in, you talk about you're doing what you love doing right now.
Yeah,
that's your gift. And when you do that better than most people, the money will come from that anyway. So your passion is cool, but your passion sometimes will keep you broke.
Yeah. I love your honesty, man. Because most people say the opposite. Follow this, follow that passion, but they end up getting pigeonholed a lot of times, man. So I love that. That's great wisdom. We got to ask you this, because I know you moving and shaking, man. What is your favorite restaurant in Vegas, man? Because I got to know.
Bro, my favorite restaurant in Vegas, and if they see this, they're going to be like, yeah. It's actually in the casino.
Okay.
It's called the Charcoal Room. Inside of Palace Station.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Inside of Palace.
Did they just renovate that?
They did. And it's right next to the Oyster Bar, which the line is always wrapped around.
Talking about Oyster Bar.
Yeah, the Oyster Bar. And so I get, I'm actually a decent customer over there, so I get the privilege of going inside to the Oyster Bar, inside to the Charcoal Room, but being able to order from the Oyster Bar. So they bring it into the restaurant.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I don't wait in that line that wraps around.
Right there. We'll cut that one out. So we were just talking about that. We wanted to go the other day.
Bro, when you want to go there, let me know. Like, there's no line. There's none of that crazy
I'm going to annoy the hell out of you.
Sure.
So
No, I got
right now, because that's my spot. So that's good. So Charcoal Room.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody say that. So that's good. So we got to put that on the list
great,
for sure.
Great service, great ambiance. It's a really good spot.
I've seen it.
It's
driving by the strip all the time, and I want to go stop.
And it's crazy. You think like, okay, because it's in a it's in a local spot. It may not. No, it's bomb.
Okay, you say it. I'm with it. So that's good stuff. What else are you focused on for 2021? I know you've had a lot that you've been doing, starting a lot. 2021, what would be the best thing for you to finish up the year strong, and then next year coming up?
That's tough for me, bro, because again, like, I think once you have the recipe to something else, you can kind of just keep spinning that recipe over and over and over again. The world teaches us to diversify, but to me, one of the sharpest minds in the world says, don't do that. Warren Buffett, if you read his book in the Warren Buffett way, he says, diversification is the tool for idiots. And it's like, whoa, really? Because that's what the world teaches us. But what he's saying, when you're really good at something, why do you want to do anything other than that? Right, so I don't really know what is next for me in a business sense. I've got a friend that's trying to get me into some development work, into real estate and things of that nature. If I do that, like, I'm totally out of my box. So I have to surround myself with an amazing team to try to pull that off. But so I just kind of like to stay, where I am. Yeah. I always say, multiple streams, not multiple teams. I keep my same team, and we just keep doing this, what we do.
A lot of good nuggets, man. You got a lot of gems in this one, so that's great, man. Where can people reach you if they want to reach out to Evolution Travel, or they want to do Epic Trading? How could they get in contact with you guys if they wanted to?
For sure. On Facebook, I keep it simple. I don't do a lot of Instagram and things of that nature. Kind of keep it as private as possible. I honestly think that if I wasn't a business owner, I don't even know if I would have social media.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of like to stay dialed in. It's a distraction, I think, for a lot of people. So on social media, it's David McCovy, McCovy. And the website for the two companies, myevolutiontravel.com and epictrading.com.
Okay. Good stuff. Dave, you great stuff, man. Great gems, man. Great wisdom.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for having me.
We're glad to be able to have you in the circle, man. And definitely check him out if you guys want to reach out. You can check us out at thevegascircle.com and subscribe with us at thevegascircle.com. So appreciate you, bro. Thank you, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.